Okay, record. Right. So, last class, I discovered a lot of us really struggle to really understand what Git is all about. So today, we are going to be doing demonstration instead of teaching. So, and I'm going to be using analogy to pass my message across. So now, when you're talking about Git now, what do you use Git for? Let's start with, as a DevOps engineer, what is your responsibility? Your major responsibility as a DevOps engineer is to try as much as possible to automate processes, okay? And your primary responsibility is not to a favor by automating processes, okay? Your primary responsibility is to help developers, okay? To take the burden of having to set up servers, applications, and doing a lot of jobs that would distract them from writing the major code, because the major thing a developer is employed, like a Java developer, a Java programmer, a Python programmer, the major reason they are employed is to write codes, not to manage application, not to deploy application, not to set up server. Like I was speaking with one of my boss this evening, he was having a lot of challenges just trying to set up a server. Now imagine if he is a programmer, he's now wasting more time trying to set up a server. It can be really challenging. So now we are employing you to write your program, and then we're going to employ DevOps to help you deploy the application. So it's like abstracting responsibilities, distributing responsibilities across the team. So that's what a DevOps person is, okay? So as a DevOps engineer, your main responsibility is to get the code from developers, I mean the programmers, and deploy it into a server, or deploy it into any environment where you guys are using in your company. So now, this is what we are going to be doing tonight. Let's assume you are a DevOps engineer, a newly employed DevOps engineer, that you are joining a team. Okay. So what you'll be told is, in our team, we actually use Git. Maybe GitHub or GitLab, for managing our codes, for managing, our scripts, for managing our softwares, name it. That's what they actually use. So you are the DevOps engineer. So you as a DevOps engineer now, you have to know how to make use of Git to be able to pick up, to perform your responsibility. Because once a programmer finishes writing the code, nobody will say, okay, please pass me drive, let me send you the code. No. You will just push it to Git, and you as a DevOps, you pick it from Git, either automation or manually or whatever. You just have to know how to pick it from Git and use it in your environment. Okay, so now this is what we are going to do now. We are going to be using my own Git as your company's Git repo. Okay, so now let's assume this is your company's Git repo now, and you have a code there. So for a start, there are two things you could do. Let's assume it's a new startup anyway, or it's a new company. The first thing the first responsibility you might be given is to set up a Git repository, okay? And let's assume a company that's already who's that? Precious, please go on mute. Okay, yeah. So I said the first responsibility, let's assume it's a new company. Like I worked for a new company some time ago. The first responsibility I actually got was set up a Git repository, okay? Which is what, okay, let's start with that. So let's assume it's a new company, you're just joining a company, okay? And okay, they just say, okay, guys, please just help us set an environment, or please help us set up a Git repository. So you should consider GitLab or GitHub. So which one are they using? Is it GitLab? Is it GitHub? But I think most commonly uses GitHub. But companies, a lot of companies, probably big companies, they love to use GitLab because GitLab actually gives you one edge of being able to manage a set of users as a group. So you can grant permission based on a group or a role. But I think in GitHub you can only manage as a user, not as a group. Okay, so now let's assume this is your company's repository, or this is a clean repository that was given to you by your company. The first thing you want to do is ignore all this we have here. These are some of the repository I created in the past. So now you're just joining the company. The first thing you want to do is, okay, we need a repository for our Java code. Okay, so it's as simple as just go to gitlab.com. Oh, this GitLab. Let's use GitHub, sorry. Let's use GitHub. So it's as simple as you just go to GitHub and start a new project or a new repository, which is important. Okay. So now I'm actually talking to new DevOps that is joining a team. So now, what is this repository about? Let's just call it Java program. Okay. Let's call it Java. Okay. And let's name it. This is our Java repo. Okay. So now the next thing is, what are you making it? Oh, what did I do? I went and eaten. Sorry. I hit enter. Yes, let me not waste time on this. Let me create a new repo. Creating a new repo. So we have new repo. Let me call this Python anyway. I'll delete that. So this is Python. Okay, so this is Python repo. And then we have, do you want to make it public or private? Definitely you want to make it private, but for this class, just make it public. Then, do you want to initialize a README? And just leave a README out of it because you are not the one giving the README anyway. So what you want to do now is you are creating a repo for your developers, your Python developers. So they are going to actually create a README maybe of how some of the dependencies you need to set up, some of the environment instructions on some of the things that will be in. That is what your README is all about. Okay, so check this. So let's README, and then I explain the git ignore. So git ignore is actually a file that you have to create in Git. Like Git, please, you just specify the directory of some of the files, okay, that you want Git not to track. You don't want Git to have access to it. Probably they are your secrets, they are your personal secrets, your credentials, and all. So you don't want it to be on Git. Okay, so that is what this git ignore is. You just place the directory. You just place the directory of the file you want Git to ignore. Okay, and then the license. No, you are not. You are just picking none. So once you do that, click on create your repo. So now this is what you send to your developers, and this is what they are going to make use of. Okay, so if they have a new code, they will just have to push it to this repository. Okay, so now let's also assume you are not doing it for developers right now. Okay, or let's assume you are even the one trying to create a script for your environment, or let's assume you are the one just trying to create some files for this repo, maybe some M charts, maybe some Kubernetes file, some Docker file, what have you. So you are making use of this repo for yourself. Let's now demonstrate how to make use of it. Now, what you've done now is you've created a repo. The next thing we want to do is we want to make use of this repository. So let's go. Oh, I thought I already updated this, man. Let me make it fix, okay? Start session. Okay, so we have this. Let me clear all that we have here. Just let to be sure. Please be careful with RM command. If you are not sure, don't do try and error. and you don't want to try this, I just run if you are not sure what you're doing. Okay, so all right. Now, the first thing you want to do now is you try to clone this repository. Okay, so now let's try to clone this repository. Or let me use my my Windows here so that it will be easy. It will be easy. Okay, so instead of using EC2 instance, I'm going to be using my Windows command line. So desktop. Yeah. Okay, so I think which one are we using? Is it the Devops class 2? I think it should be Devops class 2. Sorry. Okay, so now, mistake. Now what I want to do now is I want to get what we have in this repository. I want to pull it to my server, or I want to push it to my computer. Like I want to pull it, I want to get a copy and work on it. Okay, so now the first thing you want to do is to get a copy from your repository. What you want to do is git clone. You want to clone that same repository so that you can add your content to it. Okay, so now this is what you're just going to do. Just run this git clone command. Let me clear. I can see. Oh, clear doesn't work here. Yeah, doesn't work. I don't know the command for this. Okay, so git clone. So this is git clone. You run your git clone, then the URL to the repo, which is the repo you created. The repo actually follows this format: github.com / your username / the repository name. Okay, so that's what makes the URL to the repo. So git clone, then the repository, paste. Now, if I go to my desktop, I should see the Python. So you can see now it's empty. Nothing is inside. Okay. So now let me create a notepad and add a file. This is a test file. So this can be anything. It could be your script. It could be your Docker file. It could be anything. Okay. But I'm just creating a text file in this scenario. Okay, so it's not no, I'm not trying to teach. I'm trying to practicalize now, because I noticed teaching last time actually made a lot to struggle. So that's why I'm just showing you step by step of things you want to do. Probably as you're going, you'll be gaining more understanding. Okay, so so now I created this file and then I save it. I'm going to save it inside the repository that I cloned, which is Python. Okay, which is Python. Open. So let me call it, I can call it anything. Let me just call it test file. So test.txt. Okay, then you can save. Okay. Now we should have the file inside the folder. This is the file. Now we are ready to push. Let's assume we are done writing the code, or we are done writing the script, or we are on, we are done doing all the configurations or whatever we want to do, and we are ready to push it back, okay, to the repo. Don't bother yourself about what the file is. I can even copy any file. It doesn't really matter. It could be anything, it could be image, just name it. It could be anything. Let me just copy this Microsoft Edge. And I think I should not have issues. It could be anything, okay? So now we are ready to push it to the repo. Now, from the last class, I tried to explain the concept of Git, okay? So if you want to push to Git, there are 3 states, or there are 3 stages you have to go through. The first one is actually called the modified stage. So the modified stage is almost like the editing stage, okay? It has no idea of what you are doing, okay? So presently now, all we did was clone the repo and started adding file into the repo. Git has no idea. It's not tracking. Yeah, the best way to say it is how should I say it? Untracked state. Okay, so presently Git is not tracking whatever I'm doing. Do Git status now to check that. Oh, sorry, I have to go into Python. Go into Python, which is the repo. Okay, don't forget. Then I run my Git status. Now you can see it. It says untracked file. Okay, that is the first state. Okay. Now, after we are done editing, we want it to track the file. How do we get it to track the file? It's as simple as you just running git add, then the name of the file. Okay, which is test. Let's say want git to track this file. Okay, so git add, then track the file. Let me run my git status again to see. So you see it now, it's ready to commit. It said on stage. So now new file being tracked by Git. That's why you have it in green. Then you still have this untracked shortcut here. That is, it's not yet tracked. Another way to get Git to track your file, if you, let's say you have numerous files, maybe small files, you don't want to be tracking it one by one. It's as simple as just running git add dot. By running this, it's going to track all the files. Okay, so you're telling Git, please take note of all the files I have in this repository. Let me run my Git status again so that you can see. So you can see it's telling us it's tracking everything, ready for commit. Okay, so now the second stage we are talking about, we are going to talk about is the staging file. Okay, now presently now it's in the staging file, and then the last stage now is the commit file. Okay, so now it's in stage now already. The next thing we want to do after adding is you want to commit. So from the last class, I tried to explain the concept of Git. I said Git is a distributed source code management system. Okay, it's distributed. What do you mean by distributed? We have centralized, and then we have distributed. I remember I actually remember doing an interview then, and I think it was one of the banks in Nigeria, and they asked me, what is Git? What is Git? Is it centralized or distributed? It was an interview question. I struggled with it, and even though I know it was, you just have to understand the concept. If you understand the concept, you know what I mean. What I mean by centralized is the same repo, which is Python. All of us can have a snapshot of that same repository. That is why they call it distributed. You can have a snapshot of that repository on your machine. Okay. Today can have a snapshot of that repository on his own machine. Tayo can have a snapshot. Chukuma can have a snapshot. Everybody can have a snapshot. That's what makes it distributed. Okay. But centralized actually means we can only have a snapshot on a single machine. That is centralized. But Git is distributed. That's what makes it distributed. Everybody can have a snapshot and be working on the same repository at the same time. Okay. So now, once you are done using your Git add, once you are done staging, okay, once you are done staging, the next thing is you want to commit. That is, you want to save on your own snapshots, okay, on your own repository, on your own local repository. To do that, you have to run your Git commit. So when you run your Git commit, remember, you clone the repository. So you want to save that changes you've made on your own local repository, on your own snapshots. Okay. So to do that, it's as simple as just running Git commit. So you just run your Git commit to save. But with every commit, you have to add a message to it. Okay. So to add that message, you put -m. Then the message, we can call it, the message is just describing what you've done. It could be passion, it could be feature you added, just describing. But we are saying this is our first commit. Okay, so now we are ready to save. Once I hit enter, That means it has saved it on my local snapshot. Okay. Now it's not yet available on the GitHub, on the central repo, which is the GitHub. Okay. Now let's push it to the central repo that everybody can access it. Presently, what I've done is this thing, I've saved it to my own local repository. You know, it's just like I'm running my centralized repository. Now I actually want to save it to the remote repository. Now to do that, it's as simple as just running git push. Okay, because what I've done here is I will save it on my local repository. So let's take it to our remote repository, which is the GitHub, which is this repository. Okay, you know, look at this now, refresh. You see it's still empty. Now let me push to the repository and see. So it's as simple as just running git push origin. Okay, origin, then the branch by default is main. So just for now, you can just try and cram this command anyway if you are struggling with that. So just try and cram this command. Origin is where the remote state, the remote location where you are pushing, and then the branch. I will explain the concept of branch later. But by default, the branch, okay, let me show you why I'm pushing to main branch. Just run git branch to see all the branches you have. You see, we have main. So now let's push to this main. You can create other branches anyway. We'll do that as we go on in the class. So let's push, git push, origin, okay, main, which is the branch, push. Git push, invalid username or password. Why am I having git push remote invalid username or password? What do I do? Authentication failed. Git push invalid user. I just got, come on. Guys, you won't believe what just happened now. Do you know I just subscribed right now? And these people are still telling me this. I subscribed to you already.
Okay.
There is something wrong somewhere.
I subscribed to Zoom, like I already bought premium. They are still telling me 10 minutes. I don't understand. I'm not understanding this.
You need to speak with their support. You need to speak with their support. So that to check your details. Can you hear me?
I will. Yeah, I will. So I'm trying to understand what's really happening. Git, okay, let me run git login. Let me see what's happening. What's that? Git login is not git command, see git help.
Can I ask a question while you're going through that?
Okay.
Okay. So which of the git to command this in will you, is it preferable use git batch?
I didn't get
Which one
you.
is better? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, maybe it's from my side, but your voice is kind of low, but I can hear you. I just have to move through that.
Is it better now?
Yeah, just speak on, just speak on.
Okay, so I am asking, is it better to use git batch rather than this Windows command, this default Windows command?
It doesn't really matter. All you just need is your git. Git is just a tool. In as much as you can run your git, it's still the same thing.
Okay. That's what earlier yesterday I was using a git batch, so I created a username, but already have a Git account, right? A Git account, right? But when I downloaded the Git batch, right? The Git command, this thing, I created account. I created my user using the global command, right? Then I created, I configured the other, this thing, like my email and other this thing. So does that affect my normal GitHub account, or does it create a different account entirely from the GitHub account?
Honestly, I'm just trying to multitask here. Are you
okay? No, sorry. Maybe when you finish.
all right? Another option
So,
it's hard.
see, look your screen.
It's logins. What's Git push. Okay, now asking me for my access token. Okay, so all right, I think I grabbed now. That's what it was supposed to ask for instead of telling me. The same command, you see, like like the same command that I ran here earlier that is telling me authentication failed. Git push invalid username or password even without supplying any anyway. So
sorry, yeah. So what could have happened that occurred?
honestly, I think another thing I could just think of is probably network. But if it's internet, I don't think this is the error I'm supposed to get.
Yeah, it's supposed to show WebSocket connection loss or something.
Yeah, probably, but I actually have no idea anyway. Okay, please. I have to do something now. The last time I just have to expose my token, so I don't want to do that again, please. Let me just stop my screen. Okay. You remember the last time when we actually talked about creating web tokens, right?
Yes.
So let me try to create a web token. How did I even create the web token the last time? So
Git authentication app, something. Git app
settings, I think. And developer settings. Okay. All right. The last class we actually talked about this authentication, this personal access token. Okay. So some of the time you might need this personal access token. I think one of the reasons actually asking me for personal access token right now is because I have multiple factor authentication enabled. Okay, so that's why it's actually asking me for personal. I'm not sure if I don't have it on, it may not ask you. Okay, another reason it might ask you for this access token is when your repo is made private. So if it's public, it may not ask you for anything. Okay, so please just take note of this. So right now, let me just create a personal access token. So I'm going to generate a new access token. Going to grant it access. Let me just call it Devops. And so it doesn't make sense. I don't know why it can't even mask. It. Okay, fine, no problem. I'm going to no problem. Since I'm going to edit this, let me just generate and copy. I'll revoke it after. So here you go. This is the authentication token. Just put it and sign in. Okay, so that's gone. But please don't actually do this anyway, because I don't really have anything serious. That's why I'm just doing this. But I don't want to do this. So now we've been able to sign in. So you see, the code has been pushed automatically. So mind you, Don't get confused. All I just run is git push. And after you run git push, it's going to bring in a pop-up box. It's going to bring a pop-up window for you to sign in using personal access token. Just try and generate your access token and supply. Once you are done supplying, it's going to push automatically. Okay, so now let's refresh and see what we have. So you see, we've been able to push what we had. This is the shortcut we had, and this is the text file we actually edited. Okay, so that is it. So now, before I continue, please, if you have questions, please let's just ask now. Or maybe I'm too fast. You want me to slow down? Please just let me know. Okay, please do you have any question before we continue?
Okay, should I continue with my question?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. So I said I have GitHub account, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So yesterday I used Git batch, like the normal Git batch command window, command line. So I created.
Hold on, please.
I need fire.
Okay. All right. Please go on with your question.
Okay. So yesterday I created user. Yeah,
I think. You're in a noisy place.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. Continue. Let me just.
Okay. Okay, so I created another user using the Git batch. Like another, I created user using the global command and an email. I created the email address also via the Git batch, and then in fact, ensure the whole config this thing via the Git batch. So now my question is, does this Git batch again, this config I created, right? Is it different from the GitHub account, or they work together, or it's a different?
What you just did was configuration. You only configured your user. So Precious, please can you continue with your question?
Okay. Where was that? I think you.
Okay. Based on your question, yeah, if I
whatever plan you subscribe, see what happens.
The git config you actually run is just you trying to configure the same user that you have on your GitHub. So it's not like a different user. It's still the same user. You're just, okay, this particular user, every commit you're making, appear, let this email appear and this username appear, and you know, that's just what you're just doing, just like the metadata for your commits as against your username that you have on your GitHub or GitLab or whatever.
Okay, so if I understand very well, that's user I created will become local, like you created a local thing like what you just did on my machine, right?
You're not creating user. You know, the only user you have is the user that you have with GitHub or GitLab, which is the remote Git platform that you have. And the Git config you actually run is you just configuring the metadata, like the description of that same user for your local, you know, for your local repository. It's just, okay, anytime this particular user actually push, this is the email I want to appear, and it's just, you just configuring creating a metadata for that particular user that you are working with or that you are signing with on your local repository.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, does that mean that someone can create more than one account using GitHub?
I actually don't know how you want to do that. But what I know is you need your email. And if you already have your email registered with GitHub, you're already registered. So, and why do you want to do that? So if you think you're changing company, the company should have email. Or worst case scenario, there's a way they can also add you to a repository with same email. So I think there's a way you can manage organizations too. But I don't really want to go that. I can't really, don't let me use that to waste. Okay, you can manage organizations. Let's say, okay, now I have So organizations I work with. So I have Build for SDG, I have my Tubo Pay, and so you can manage based on organization. Like
Okay. I get the point. I get
Okay,
the point.
sorry, sir. Based on this question he asked now, maybe later you explain the 3 levels of settings towards the global, because what he's trying to ask, I don't know if I'm right on the global. This thing, you can have different user, right? Create different user, right? If I'm not mistaken. Maybe later you can explain to us so that we don't waste so much time on this same question. Maybe explain to us the global settings, the local settings.
I already mentioned it. I said it's just a metadata. Okay, now if you put your Git config global username, okay, that is just show the username.
Okay.
Like, this was the person that actually pushed it. Now you put email as well.
Like auto, like auto.
Yes, like your auto, like yeah, exactly. So it's not like a new user, it's just a metadata.
Okay, all right. I understand. Thank you.
All right. All right. Please, do you have any other question before we just continue?
Continue.
All right, thank you. And I hope I'm not too fast.
No.
Okay, so that's the first stage. Now the first thing we did was we got a copy of the repo, added our own content to it, and then returned it back. Okay, so what other thing can? Okay, I think another thing we may want to do, or okay, let me not just stress us with that, but another thing we may want to do, instead of you just cloning, okay, let's assume you actually don't want to clone the repo. There's another way you can go around that. Let me see. What you just have to do is, let's say, let me move out of, but I just hope I'm not going to make things complicated for.
But you are not sharing your screen. Open. Can't see your screen.
Okay, sorry. Okay, you can see my screen now. You can see my screen now, right?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So now, I think another thing we want to do now is creating the repo first on your creating the local repository from your end. Okay. So now let's do something now. Let me go to my desktop. Just create a folder on desktop. I'm going to call it. Let me just call it Python 2. It can be anything, but let me just call it Python 2. Okay. And then I'm going to seed into the Python 2 and see Python 2. Now, this is just a directory, right? Now, what I can do now is I can make this a Git repository. So making it a Git repository is as simple as just running Git init. Okay. So now look at it. It said initialize an empty Git repository. But if I dir to dirs, okay, this is actually telling us no. I think the issue now we are having is on Windows. If you remember the first class we had, if you have a dot file name, it actually means it's hidden. Now, Git config file is created hidden. It's hidden by default. So for us to see it, I actually don't know how to make it seen on Windows. There's a way you can make hidden file visible. Let me see, view. But that's for Windows. Once you run Git init, it's going to create a directory called .git. That's what makes it a local Git repository. Inside that .git directory is where you have all the Git configurations. Okay. I actually don't want to waste time just trying to show us this, but I think if you want to do it, I think one way to go around that is desktop. Let me go to Python 2, right click, zip property, hidden, I think, show hidden. Folder is ready for archiving. Okay, apply changes to folder and subfolder, Python 2, okay. I don't know why it's not showing. It's supposed to show. I actually wanted to show the hidden file, which is the .git anyway, but it's not showing. But if it's on your Linux, you just run your ls-lat and it's going to show the hidden file. So now we've run git init now, okay? Then for you to know it's already created, just run your git status, you know. If I thought it's not yet, if I thought it's not a git, it's going to tell you it can't recognize it as a git. Let me show you an instance of that. Let me just go into a directory. This is a random directory. Let me just go to a random directory and just cmd and run your git status. So you should have, you know, not a git repository. Okay. So what makes it a git repository is by you just running git init, which is what actually run here. Okay. So now we've actually created a new repository now, right? Now let's try and create a content inside that repository we just created now, which is Python. Let me just capture something. Let me, yes, Python 2. It's Python 2 again. Oh, I hate doing those, man. Sort by name. What happened? Sort by name. I can't see my new file. Rakadabra. Okay. Let me just copy and paste this then. Oh. I didn't know what to do right now. I'm just so confused. I created this directory. I can't find it anymore. But just for the demo, let's just continue anyway. So now we've created, the first thing we did was git init. Okay, this is the git init, which is what makes it a repo. Now, I can't even do anything here because I can't even find a file. I need to get a Python file. So anybody understand this abracadabra? I just created a file here now called Python. I can't find it anymore.
Are you sure you did not delete it?
It's still there. Look at it here. This is the CMD. This is Python 2 for crying out loud. This is Python 2 inside desktop. So I'm not understanding. Okay.
Is he eating or something?
Yeah.
Go back again. I enter it again. Yeah.
Of course. CD Python 3.
Are you sure that desktop is not a folder? That desktop, are you sure it's not a folder?
Yeah, it's the same. Okay, let me run the IR. Of course. Let me see. Python is there. Python, look at Python, Python 3 that I created. So where is the Python 2?
It's not there.
Yeah. So let me
Sorry,
go. Let me use
scroll up. I can see another Python 3.
Yeah.
Can you scroll up possibly?
Yeah,
I
this is
saw
up.
another Python 3.
This is up. This is the only Python 3. So CD into Python 3. Okay. So let me just
Search on your do global search.
let's not waste time on that anyway. Let me just copy this and paste inside this Python 3. Now we have, this is Python 3 now, okay? Remember, we already initialized it, and then we run our git status. Okay, it's not yet initialized, so now let me initialize it. Git init, okay? Now, after git init, after running the git init, okay? The next thing we want to do now is, let's assume inside this directory, okay, which is Python 3, we want to clone the contents of, we actually want to get the contents of this repository. Oh, this is Devops, okay. So let's see. Python. Okay, so we actually want to clone the content of this repository. Okay, so now instead of you now saying git clone, remember the first method we actually use was git clone. So now we are not using git clone. The first thing you just have to do is you just have to add the remote. Okay, like you add this repository URL to your local repository, like this is the remote repo for this local repository. Okay, so to do that is as simple, because now if I do git push now, it's going to complain like it doesn't know where to push to. Fail to push some ref to origin. Okay, so it doesn't even know where to push to. So now you see it's empty. Okay, now let's to add the origin, I need to add this remote GitHub. To add this GitHub to our local repository, it's as simple as just running git remote add origin. Okay, then the URL to this repository, just copy and paste. Okay, so now let me run git remote again and see. You see it has been added, origin. You know, when we run this git remote earlier, it's empty. Now it's recognized a remote, it's a remote repository. Okay. Now I can easily run my git push. Let me see, I'm just adding a new file. Let me just add a new file. Which file can I just add here? Okay, let me just add this OBS shortcuts and see. Now this is the OBS. Now for me to push, I just say git add. Remember, git add, git commit. After the first thing, once you are done adding to the repository, you just run your git add. Git add dot means add everything. Okay, you can also specify your name. So the next thing is git commit -m. Git commit -m. Then the message new commit. Okay. Then the next thing is, look at it, create mode. Okay. So now now let me try to push to main. Definitely it's going to tell me there are some conflicts because I've not even cloned the content of the remote state. Okay. Now I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Now I want to push to a remote. Okay, and then we also have, sorry, let me put on my camera. Now I actually want to push to a remote state. I have a content on my local, and then which is totally new. Then I have some content on the remote state. It doesn't know what is in the remote state, and then I want to push to it. How? before I could push, I have to actually press pull to get the content of the remote state before I push again. Okay, because what I wanted to do right now is I wanted to push without getting the content of the remote, but which I actually feel is actually wrong. Before I do that, let me see. Let me run that. Git push origin. Let me see what's going to happen. Origin main. It doesn't make sense anyway. Fail to push some ref spec. Okay, I think I have to pull the content of the main first. Git branch. Okay, master. Okay, instead of main, so it doesn't even know it. So now, the first thing I have to do is I have to pull the content of, remember last time what we did was push. Okay, so now let's pull the content of the remote state, which is as simple as just running git pull. Get the content of the remote state, git pull origin, git pull origin, git pull origin, main. All right, refusing to match unrelated history. Okay, let me see what we have. Git branch. Let's run git branch again and see. Okay, it's not showing. But then I think we already have, we should already have, let me see, git branch or git branch -a. Okay, this is the remote state origin. So this -a actually means show including the hidden ones. Okay, now if I actually want to change, okay, before I start explain the concept of branch, okay, I think the next thing I should do is, before I model things up, I have to explain the concept of branch. Well, guys, I don't actually want to get us confused. Maybe we should just leave this for now and continue with the Python, because I actually want us to get the concept of branch before we continue. Now, why we are having master is because we actually initialized it. So the best thing is just clone, which is what we did initially from Python. From the Python, let me just go back to the normal Python. I don't actually want us to get confused. That's why I'm avoiding this. Now, remember this Python, what we did was we just run git clone. You just run git clone. And when you run your git branch, you're going to see main. Why? Because it's only the original. The reason why we're having master is because we actually run git init. By default, when you run git init, git actually creates a branch called master. That's why you have master. But in our case, since we are cloning GitHub, so we are using main. So let's just state on main. So now let me explain. Let's go to the concept of branching. Okay. So when you're talking about branch, so branch, the concept of branch that I've been running here is just a snapshot. I don't know. Do you understand what it means to have a snapshot? Let me just show us snapshots. What is snapshots? So to have a proper understanding, what is a snapshot? A snapshot, okay, like a picture, an informal photography taken quickly. What does a snapshot mean? I'm trying to say a casual photography, an impression. Like, to me, a snapshot is as it is. Just take a picture as it is. That's what I understand to be a snapshot. Okay, somebody helping us here. Okay, mine is asking for username and password while trying to push, and after I put in, it returns. Okay, please ask your question during question time anyway. All right, so now it's just like taking a snapshot. Okay, now let me demonstrate that to you. For us to have a proper understanding, please let me just go back to my EC2 instance. I'm struggling with Windows. It's been a while on Windows anyway, so let me go back to this. I want to use my EC2 instance. I'm more comfortable with that. Still good. Let's see. All right. So let me start again. Let me clone this old repository that we have into my EC2 instance to explain. So now let me clone, git clone. its clone. Okay, so now let's go to the Python. So now let's run our git branch. So we have main, right? Now let's create a branch, a branch. Explain the concept of branch is just like, you are taking a snapshot. You're taking a snapshot. Let me see, maybe I actually have a better definition for branching here. No, I don't think so. So it's just like you taking a snapshot, okay? Like, I want to maintain the whole content, okay? That's it. Like, okay, the content of main, I don't want it to change. Like, it's stable already. Just like versioning, okay? Now, on your 100, you have different version of 100. You have 14. You have your iPhone, you have your iOS, you have 14, you have 15, you have 16. So that's versioning, okay? Or on your software, you have different version. Or what other instance can I talk about? On your Windows now, okay? Let's see your operating system. You have Windows 7, you have Windows 8, you have Windows 9. You can easily go to Windows 7. You can easily go to Windows 8. You can easily go to Windows 10. That's branching. That's a way to explain branching. So now let's explain the concept of branching. Let's demo what branching is now. For you to start a branch now, there are two ways of you starting a branch. You can create a branch on in the repository itself. Okay, let me see. How do you create a branch? Test. Create branch test. Okay, so look at what I just did now. When you go to your repo at this top, you see main here. Then just type the branch inside the text box and create branch. It's going to create the branch for you. Okay, so now let me just create a branch. All right, so now at first, what it's going to do is once you create a branch, it's going to get the content of this branch. We actually call it checkout. It's going to initialize the branch with the contents of the main or the repository where you are residing, okay, or where you are creating the branch from. Remember, I was creating a branch from main. So once you create a branch, it's going to copy the content of main and put it inside test. Okay, now this is what's happened now. For you to have a better understanding, let me do the same thing now on my terminal. Let me create a new branch. Instead of, let's assume you don't want to use your console for creating the branch, you can also create your branch on terminal, which is as simple as just running git checkout. So if you're if you're switching to a new branch, you have to use this option here, which is -b, create a new branch. Then the name, we can call this test2. Okay. Now, after creating test2, just say git branch is going to show the branch you have on the local repository. You see, git branch. But that does not mean you might be confused, like, why is it not showing this? Why is it not showing this? Now, if I want to do it now, I can just say, remember I told you it's because we are using new branch here now. Let's assume this, you want to get this already existing branch and you run -b. Let me run -b with ordinary test. It's going to complain. Oh, okay, it's not complaining. Why? Because I've not yet pulled the remote branch. Okay. Let me see, git branch. Before I do that, let me not mix things up. Git branch, delete. I don't want to delete the test branch anyway. Cannot delete branch test checkout. Okay, let me change to test2. Test. Oh, test2. Then I want to delete test. Actually, I want to delete the test so that I will not, so that I can properly understand what I'm trying to do anyway. So I will explain the command to you later. Now, what I want to do now is, you see, we have two branches. The first branch is main, and then the second branch is test2. Okay. So once you have that, you want to get the contents of this test. How do you get it? The first thing you just have to do is, let's assume we already have the app. We are not we already created the test. The only thing you just have to do is you can just say, I think you just running git pull origin test should get you, or probably in fact you can even run git fetch. But let's not jump anyway. Let's not jump. Let's just go one after the other. Oh, this is my Dell. Sorry, I was on Dell. Sorry. Going back to my C2 instance. Let me just close this. I don't want to use. Going back to my C2 instance rather. So now we have git branch, which is main. Okay. Now let's do something now. I can just easily create a new branch called test and put the content of the remote state. Let's just create a new branch. So let's say git checkout. For you to create a new branch, this is the command git checkout. A branch that is not existing, git checkout -b, then test. If I not put -b, it's going to tell me it doesn't know what I'm talking about. So for you to create a new branch, you're going to use -b. That's to tell it, please create a new branch. Okay. Now, let's run our git branch. You should see it now. Git branch. Then you have your test and your main. Okay. Now, when you look at the content of the test and the main now, let's see what we have. ls. It's going to initialize it with the content of what you have inside the main. You know, I told you that, right? Now, from this test again, let's create another branch. Let me call it simi. Okay, let me just create another branch called git checkout. I actually want to demo something. Git checkout -b. Let me call it simi. Okay. Now run your git branch. So what we've done so far is just creating branches. Okay. Now, when you look at the content of simi, which is ls, let's look at the content. It's still the same thing that we have inside main. Okay. Now let's do something. Let me remove this Microsoft Edge. Let me remove that file and push. So we have ls, right? Look at it now. So after we have that, let me git add. I actually want to push this new branch I created so that it can be visible here in GitHub. Okay, so now for you to do that, you run your git add. You remember the normal process, git commit, the normal process for pushing to remote, simi branch, and git push origin simi. You remember origin, then the branch you are pushing to, which is simi. So it's asking me for username. Yes. Okay. I didn't really save the personal access token the other time. Okay. I'm going to create another one. Let's see. I'm going to create another one. Let me create a new personal access token. I was supposed to save the one I created earlier, but I didn't save. Settings. Developer settings. Personal access token. Let's generate a new. Now I can't view it anymore. It's only, you only create once. So I can even delete it anyway. Revoke all. Username to let's see. So let me create a new one. Repo access. So the person that was actually asking the question the other time, like it was asking you for username. Now this is the experience. Just do the same thing I'm doing now. Let me just save this. New file, new. Okay. So now, once it's asking you for password, just supply it as password. That personal access token. Just use that as your password. Oh. So it's push origin. Let's see. All right. So now we push the semi branch to our repo. So now let's go and check it. Let's see what we have. Oh, sorry. Actually, I don't want to close it anyway. So all right, so now let's check the branches we have. So you can see simi now. Let's check the content of simi. You see, we really have this file now, right? So again, you can also check out from any branch. Now, let me show you another thing that could happen from simi now. You know, remember the other time we actually checked out when we were in main, it branch. Let's see the branches we have. So we have simi, we have main, we have test. So the present working branch, just like your present working directory, will be green with star in front. So it's telling us we are inside, we are presently working inside simi branch with this content. So now let's check out. Git checkout. Remember, I told you if you are checking out a new branch, use -d, okay? simi2. Let's call it simi2. So you see, it's going to initialize it with that same content of simi, okay? But now, I actually want to do another thing again. Let's switch to this. If you want to switch to branches, okay, let's look at all the branches we have first. It's branch. These are all the branches we have. We have simi2, we have simi, we have main, we have test. So now let's switch to main and just walk around. Let's say we want to switch to main now, okay? It's main, git checkout, main. Okay, so you see the content of main remain unchanged, right? And the content of simi is still being changed, where the content of main is changed, is unchanged. So that's not just the concept of branch, it's just a way of versioning. So I can change something and okay, please create a snapshot of that version. I don't want it to change until I make changes, and then I'll make another branch and make my changes and all. So that's just the concept of branching. Okay, so now let me check out from main, and you see git checkout branch. Let's call it main2. Let's see what it's initialized with. You see, it's actually initialized with contents of main. Okay, so I think it actually took me some time, but I believe I've been able to at least pass some message, right? Or I'm too fast, or I don't know, or I'm too slow. Please, I actually want to have our response.
It's
We
fair.
are moving on fine. We are okay with the.
All right.
Yes.
Let's continue.
All right, thank you. So what I do without violence, men are nothing. Mine is asking for his name.
Okay, can I clarify? Can I ask for clarity?
Okay, please do.
So if I understand very well, what the concept of branch, right, is the snapshots you explain, right? Let's say you have a repository, you have a repo, and maybe you want to work on a version 2 of that source code or that product or of the product. You simply create another branch.
Exactly.
And then work on that.
Exactly.
And it consumes like that for a new version, right?
Yes. Now, when what can I use as an example? Okay, look at Windows 10 now. Or I think on Windows 10 you have Home, you have Pro, then I think you have about three classes, right? Or let's assume you are trying to work on your iOS, you see, you see 16.1, you see 16.2. So you can you see my screen as well?
Still loading.
Can you see my screen?
Still loading.
No.
Yeah. Stop now.
So, as I was saying, I said, so today's class is about demonstrating how a typical DevOps environment is, how you walk around Git and what you do in Git. Because I noticed the last time when I was just trying to teach, a lot were struggling. Okay, so now the first thing we did was we actually cloned a new repo. Okay, and after we cloned a new repo, the next thing we did was we returned a new branch. We pushed the repo, we created a new branch, and let's keep going like that. So now, please take note of something. One thing I notice is you are not to have problem with Git once you follow due process. Fine, if you don't follow due process, you might end up finding yourself in a deep mess, in a deep shit, but you don't want to do that. So now, this is a standard if you really want to do so well while using your Git. It's as simple as, please take note of this step. The first one, it's simple. Okay, now if you want to push a new repo, it's as simple as just running a git add. Okay, git add to add all the files. Okay, then git commit -m. Okay, then your commit message. Okay, and then git push origin. Origin main. Okay, now that is for pushing. Okay, now if you want to start a new work, let me show you an instance now. Take note of this. If you look at this branch, which is let me see the branch we are working, git branch. Okay, see the Python git branch again. Yeah, inside main. So let me switch to CME git checkout. Remember, I told you use -b when it's a new repo, but since it's old repo, so you don't need -b. So now it's in CME. Let's confirm git branch. Now, if you're working on a new branch, the first thing you must always do is you must always update your branch. Let's assume, okay, this is CME, right? Let me do something now. Let me try and work on CME without updating my branch, or let me update CME in the remote repository. Let me update CME in the remote repository and see what we have. This is CME now. Now, let me try and see. Okay, let me add readme. I want to add readme, or let me add the file. Don't let me add readme. Let me add the file to CME. Okay, let me just call it CME test. Yes. So it's just instead of me doing it on my terminal, I'm just using the console to add the file. So now let me just add the content to the file that I created in my remote repository. So you can also make the changes on your GitHub. It's fine, but it depends on the company's policy. I don't advise that. A lot of companies doesn't advise that. But if you just want to cut corners instead of you having to edit on your local machine and push and all, you can just do it on GitHub. Okay, so I'm doing it on GitHub straight. This is a dummy content. This is a dummy content. So now I'm saving, commit. I'm commit directly to CME. You can also create a new branch anyway, but I'm not creating a new branch. You look at it here, commit directly to CME branch. Okay, so that's what I want to do. So now, I've created a new changes. Let me also edit the old file. Let me edit the old file. So for me to edit the old file, just click on it and click on the pencil and then new line or new text. Okay, so I'm also committing it directly to CME branch. Okay, so now you see I've updated the remote content inside CME branch, and then our local content is not yet updated. This is CME on my local repository. Let me now make a new changes to my local repository inside this file, vi test file. So now, if you actually look at this now using your discretion, you can easily tell like there's already a conflict. The content of the remote is different from the content of my local repository. Now, let's see what is going to happen. So after we've done our changes, I told you the next thing you want to do is run these steps. Anytime you are done with your changes and you want to push, just run these 3 lines: git add, git commit, change your commit to maybe the message and the branch we want to push to. Okay, so now let's push to our remote, git add. Okay, then git commit, -m, test commit. Okay, so one file change. If you have the time, you can just read through all this. Is going to give you a lot of ideas, but I'm not going to be reading all through that anyway. So now the next thing is git push origin CME. git push origin CME. Okay, so it's asking me for my username and then my token. All right, so you see, it's already claiming there's a problem. Can you see this? Git error failed to commit some ref, updated, rejected because remote contains that did not. You can see the problem. So these are the problem you actually run to when you don't do things proper. So before you even start a work, okay, it's advisable, try to pull the content. So now I'm going to stash the updates I made on my local repository. Okay, so it's like ignore my local content, which is git stash. So you can tell it, okay, all the changes in my local repository, please ignore. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. No local changes. Let me see. No local changes. Okay. Git stash. Let me see. Okay. Now, you see, it has already entered me. It said I should git pull before I push. Let me try to git pull CME to update my local repository. Git pull origin CME. Okay, so we have a lot of messages here. You have, this is why I'm actually doing this demo, because I want you to avoid this problem. Okay, so now it's telling you what to do now, how to reconcile them. You can do so by running one of the following commands: git config pull rebase for, that's my default, git com rebase true rebase fast forward again. I actually don't want to go through these steps anyway. So let's just ignore that. Let's just get out of this. Let me go to git. Let me switch to CME now, because that's what this is the demo. Like, I don't want you to have this problem. Okay. Now, this is what you should be doing on a normal day. So now let's check out. It's check out CME 2. Let's work on CME 2, or which other branch do we have here? Okay, test. Let me check out git test. Git checkout test. Git checkout test. Let me update the content of the test, just like we did for the initial one that we had issues. You know, you're working for a large company. A lot of people are working on the repository at the same time. So definitely there will be some conflict. So how do you avoid those trouble? That's what we are trying to do now. And then commit. So now, anytime you want to work on a new branch and you don't want to have issues, there are two things you can do. There are two ways to go around it. Okay. The first way is update your content, update your local repository. Okay, just say git pull origin test. So you see, it has actually updated it. Now, if I should make a changes inside any of these test file now, I should not have issues. So let me say test file, because it's already updated. See, the new test I added is already appearing. So I should not have issues. Then I can also continue working. Hello. Then I can also continue working and also push my change. So remember, git add, and git commit. No this and no peace. Just follow this procedure. You should not have issues. Git commit, test, commit, and then git push origin, simi. Oh, push. Okay, git push origin, simi. Then collecting. Fail to push. Update rejected because the push branch tips. Oh, I was pushing simi. Sorry, instead of test. I said we want to push test. All right, so now let me refresh this file that I updated. You should see the content of hello. So you see, so that is the first method. Okay, then another method you want to use. Another method you might go through is once you want to start a new work afresh, okay, create a dedicated branch for yourself. So let's say the branch you're expected to use is test. Okay, so from that test, create a new branch. Check out test. Okay, now we've created a new branch called test. Okay, let's update the branch. Let's see the branch, git branch test. Oh, git branch, let's see. Git branch test. Okay, so we are in test. So let's make the changes inside the test file and see. Let's make a change. Random change. Okay, so now let's save. All right, so now we updated. Oh no. This is not what I wanted to do actually. Okay, so now we are working inside test. Let's create a new branch. I told you we should create a new branch rather, which is git checkout. Let's call it test 3. Git checkout test 3. New branch. I told you new branch use -v. So now we are inside a new branch called test 3. Okay. Let me see vi test file, random change, new. Okay, so all right, so now this is what we have inside the test 3. Okay, let's make a change inside test. Now this is test 3. This is your personal branch that you are working in, but in your company you are expected to work on test 3. Let's assume you're expected to work on test, but because you want to avoid troubles, you want to avoid conflicts and all, create your own branch, okay? So let's now assume when you're working on test 3, somebody made a change to test, okay? So now, let's see what we have. Let's make a change to test. Another change. So somebody made this change to test branch, okay? And then committed to the same branch, which is called test. And you from your own workstation, you are expected to work on test as well. But to avoid all these stories that touches, just create your own branch. Now, once you are done making your own change inside your test 3 branch, let me just say, let me just add some new changes. Okay, so WQ and save. Now this is what you now want to do. Once you are done making your own change, there's a concept called match. You can match branches together. Okay, there are 2 ways of doing branch. You can match on your terminal, or you can match on the GitHub itself. But for a start now, let's match on. I prefer to always match on my terminal. Okay, I prefer to always match on my terminal. So what will I do now? It's just like logic for me. I just think all these things as logic. Okay, so now I'm just thinking in my sense like, oh, maybe somebody has actually made some changes to test. So the first thing I want to do is I'm done creating my content on test 3, right? And then somebody else has made a change to test. What do? I just go to git checkout test and see git checkout test. Then I update my local branch, which I do git pull origin test. All right, so you remember I actually made a change. So it's telling me I should stash my own change because I've not pushed. So let me stash my change first and use the updated repo. Okay, then let me get the original content. Yeah, so now I have the original content from test now. Okay, now that's to tell you like my own test local repo is updated already. My test branch inside my local repo is updated. Now, I now want to match, to avoid conflict, I want to match the content of test to my own branch so that we not have issues. So now, let me go to, if you want to match, this is how the concept of matching works. You can, the branch you want to match into, you check out into the branch, and then you now run a command to run the matching. So let's do that now. For us to start our matching, just do git checkout the branch you want to match into, which is test 3. Okay, then we want to match the content of test into test 3. So let's do, to match now is as simple as git match. Then the branch you want to match into test 3, which is test. Okay, so let's match. All right, so now we've matched the content of test into the content of test into test 3. Okay, and we don't have issues. So now we are ready to now push the content of test 3 to our remote repo and now match inside GitHub. That's one way to avoid troubles. If you have problem on your terminal, then don't bother pushing because you are going to have problem on your GitHub. Okay, so what we just did is to avoid conflict. They call it conflict. Okay, so now let's go ahead and push. Let me recap. I'm a DevOps in my team. I'm a DevOps engineer in my team. Okay, I need to make a changes into a particular repo, into a particular branch called test. But a lot of people are also working on that branch. Okay, now if I make my change and push, later I'll hear some stories, some people that have made some change, then we have a problem. Okay, so to avoid that story or to avoid that problem, what I will do is I will create a new branch, work on it separately. Then once I'm done making my change, definitely two people cannot be working on the same feature at the same time. Okay, so create a new branch separately, which is what we call test 3, to implement what I am to do. Okay, once you are now done, now update your content of the original branch that you are supposed to work on, which is test, which is what we did here. I have to pull test so that I can stay up to date. Anybody might have made any change, stay up to date. Then once I'm done, once I actually update my test branch, then I now check out to the branch that I worked, which is test 3. I check out here, then I now match the updated content of tests. I now match it here into my test 3. Let me see now. So you see test 3. Oh, sorry, git branch, sorry. Git branch. So this is test 3. Now we are done with test 3. Then remember our normal command, git add, because we are ready to push now. Just follow this. It's as simple as add git commit. You won't have troubles. Git commit -m test 3 push. Okay, then git push origin test 3. Okay, let's see. And then all right, so I've been able to push test 3 now. So let's see, you should see test 3, view your branches. Okay, look at test 3 now. Look at this now. You see, it's telling you 7 minutes ago, whereas we just push because we pushed 7 minutes ago on our local repository. Okay, so now let's see the content of test 3. We should see all the changes. You see, it also helps you look at it as these are just some tips, some of the changes we've made, because you are just test running, Simi had changes in recent and all. So let me just leave that. That's not what we are doing now. So now I should be able to see all the changes I've made. So now, once we are done with this now, once we are done, this is test 3. We actually pushed our content to test 3. The next thing you want to do is, let's now go ahead and match our branch, our test 3. Okay. Now, this is how to match now. Now, it has already shown you the hints. It said test 3, compare and pull request. They actually call it pull request. In GitLab, it's actually called match request, but in GitHub, it's called pull request. It's just matching. Like now, it's telling us like, do we want to match, compare and match? So click on this compare and pull request now. Now, look at it now. So it's just telling us this is the changes that has been made. Like now, I'm trying to delete this content, replacing it with this content. The red part is actually telling you this is what you are deleting. So you just take time to look at it. Like, is this what you really want to do? Like, it's telling me I'm deleting this and I'm replacing it with this. Whereas this is what happened is I only changed this whole line, like it's telling me this is the new content I added. Once you can confirm like, okay, yeah, this is my intended change, okay, then create pull request. Click on create pull request. So once you've created pull request now, on that same branch, there are some companies, they actually have some policy. Some set of people might have to approve before you can match, but since we don't have that policy here, you can just go ahead and just match. Oh, I didn't even look where I was matching into anyway. Oh, no. I actually intended to merge into tests, not, let me see. Oh, look at it now. I didn't actually change. Actually, it said it's merging into main, which is not what I want to do. So sorry. So now I'm going to close this merge. I'm going to close this merge. Which one is what's open? Okay. I'm trying to close, I think, squash and merge. No.
There's a close pull request. Yeah.
Okay, so this is close pull request. So let me close it. But then after closing, let me try to reopen and see, then make my changes and tell it I actually want to match test. So please don't get carried away. I don't know, maybe I've modeled things up for you, but I think I've not really we've not done anything serious. I'm actually struggling with GitLab anyway, but I'll figure it out. I'm just trying to figure out GitHub. I'm used to GitLab. It's been a while I worked on GitHub, but they are still always the same concepts. So now
You selected test 3.
Yeah.
I thought you want to select tests. You're merging into text.
No, this is text 3. Now,
Okay.
I actually try to select the branch. Now, I actually want to create merge request. So I'm looking for the merge request button. Okay, pull request, no. It's supposed to be on this, but I think if I can't see it here anyway, if it's GitLab, I think it should be somewhere here. Or maybe if I find time, I think you can also do the same thing in this pull request. Just click on pull request at the top of the page and do new pull request. So now I actually want to create pull request from, it's telling me from base. Okay, I actually want to create pull request into test from test 3. There isn't nothing to compare. Okay, so it's telling us there's nothing to compare. Let me see what's happening here. Okay, new pull request. Choose different branch of a fork above to discuss. Okay, so now I actually want to test 3 into test. Okay, why is it telling me showing changes? Okay, I think the reason why it's actually telling me this is because there are no change, but why is it not allowing me match? Where's the match button?
Are you sure the one you did last time did not match already? The pull request you did wasn't matched already.
Okay, maybe. Okay, now let's not waste our time anyway. Let's just match to Simi. Let's just match to Simi. Okay. So once you are just done making the change, look at the create pull request. Just create your pull request, and it's going to match the content. The changes I made on test 3 is going to match it to Simi. Oh, hold on. I think we really need to try to figure. We really need to try to figure what really happened. That it's not allowing me to match. That is not it. Okay, tests are identical. Yeah, we know they're identical, but we actually want to match. Okay, probably maybe the site tendencies has already matched. Let me see. Hold on, let me see what's happening here. So we have tests. Let's compare the content. I think we can also compare. Okay, trying to compare the content actually told us we have the same thing. But let's just try to confirm from our end. Test 3. Okay, so it's already telling us the contents are the same. You know, I already matched from my local repo already. So something has happened anyway.
Remote.
Yeah.
When you
let me just quickly wrap up this part and then we call it a day. Okay. Presently, we are having some issues, but because I didn't really take note of the changes we've made, So I really can't really say much. Exactly. Where's my terminal? Start.
Okay, I think it is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it is even better. It is even better all these mistakes comes in so that we learn along, right? So what this means is, if if ever we encounter this kind of error, that means there's no going back. It's just a disaster, right?
Yeah. Yeah. My concern, normally having this kind of error, it's not an issue, but my concern is it might look a little bit confusing to new people anyway. So I wish
Exactly.
I wish everything actually goes smooth so I can easily drive in the concept I'm trying to drive in. But then
No,
this, so that's why I just wish everything actually goes smooth, you know. But then
I understand, but then at least for us, next time if we are the one doing, next time we will pay attention very well to this because we might not be able to correct that
yes,
as you will correct that. So as a beginner like us, we need to pay attention to every detail.
every details, yeah. So right now, what really happened is I actually made a couple of changes, and I was just trying to make changes to just drive in my concept, but I think it's as easy as that anyway. It's as easy as that. Now that we are done, let me just try and see. Let me just try and match to another branch. You know, I actually lost that. Let's just show the concept of margin and see what we have. Let me just use this to drive in the concept of margin. So now in this scenario now, our margin test to main. So let's just see, this is the changes. So it's telling us, remember the main, inside our main, the content is just, let's see what we have inside main before now. I just want to show the concept of margin anyway, so that we can just end today's class and move. Look at the concept, look at the content of main. This is a test file. So now we want to match the content of test into main. Okay. So it's telling us it's going to remove this line and add this. That's what this is telling us. So once we are confirmed, like this is the change we want to make, just click on create pull request. And once it checks for ability to match, you see, it says this branch has no conflict. If there was a problem, it's going to tell you there's conflict that it cannot match automatically. Okay. So once you are done, just match pull request. It's asking me, do I want to confirm? So choose which email address to associate with this commit. Okay, so confirm match. All right, so now if you go to the main now, if you go to the main branch, if I do refresh, you should see it's updated with the content of test of, was it test 3 that we actually matched? So that's just the concept of margin. So now what I've been able to pass across tonight is, if you want to learn more about Git, you can just go online and read about Git. But what I just try to dive in is establishing the concept of Git, making you understand how Git works and how to avoid some mistakes. When I started working, I actually have this issue. That's why I'm taking my time to really explain this thing to you. I do a lot of trial and error. The only thing you just want to do is want to see it commit. I don't really follow all these steps. So that's why I'm picking out time to teach you all these steps so that you don't jump one step, you run into troubles. So now I think I'll be able to establish the concept of Git now. You have to push, pull, create match, and merge your branch. So now let me quickly do a quick recap. You are in a new company. The first thing you want to do is you want to clone the repo. Okay, you clone the repo, make your changes. And I told you before you make any change, check out a new branch so that you avoid conflict. Make your changes to that branch. Once you are done making the changes, push the changes to that branch to your remote repository, and then create a merge request. Okay, so doing that, you will not run into troubles. Okay, and I told you how to push. Git clone is to get a copy, and if you want to push, just run your git add, git commit, and git push. Just following all this process, you should not have any problem. Okay, so now what I just did was explaining the concept of Git, because we are going to be making use of Git in our next classes. You'll be using Git a lot, so that's why I just take time to just explain this simple content, this simple concept. If you want to learn more, I think you should not have issues learning more after establishing this concepts to you. So you can just go to go online, just Git tutorial for beginner. You should see all these things there. You have better understanding. Do you have any question before we call it a day?
Thank you, Bolu.
Okay. That means no.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, I do have, okay. I have a question and a suggestion. Okay, so my question is, now you mentioned that it is not ideal for engineers to work on the same file at the same time, the same branch, right? So it is better to create a personal branch than merge, right?
Exactly, a merge, yes.
So now let's assume we are working on a JavaScript file, right?
Okay.
We need to work on a JavaScript file, a very long, let's say up to 1,000 lines of code, and then let's say I need to work on, I'm working on maybe line 50, right? And then Mr. Ebenezer is working on line 51, or let's say the same line 51, and that's 51 is the same as the same syntax, like a block, this in a block script or something. So is it possible, in fact, wait, is it even possible for two engineers to work on the same statements, right? Same statements, and then merge? They are both working on different personal branches, right?
Your question. I actually understand what you are trying to say. In this,
okay,
that is where communication actually comes in play.
Okay.
And we also have something like modules. Different thing actually has different standard, different policy, or different ways. You guys will discuss how to avoid conflicts. It's a discussion you should have in your team.
Okay.
Are you getting it? So in as much as Git is actually helping you to avoid conflict, you yourself, you have to help yourself to avoid conflict. So now, instead of you now working on the same line, you guys have to communicate. There's concept of module. You can create different modules and, reusing code. You understand what I mean by modules, creating blocks, importing, and likes. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
So
I can hear you.
Okay. So
okay.
Yeah, go on. Please go on.
You actually know the concept of dry. Do not repeat yourself, all those 9 things. You just establish all this way of working.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Dry means
don't repeat yourself.
Not repeat yourself, kind of, yeah. So recommend software engineers to do something once and only once. So you create your modules, create your imports, you create inheritance. I don't know, you actually understand these programming concepts. Why? Just to avoid all these problems. This actually helps in avoiding all these kind of problems.
Okay.
All right. So I've been able to answer the question, right?
Sure. So my my suggestion is this. So because since this is what you've taught us tonight is very, very practical, right? Very, very practical. So I might want to assume that not all of us would really understood the whole concept, or I don't know. But what I'm suggesting is this: can you help us create maybe like a general or a team GitHub account? Then let us have a team, a different teams, like a team A and B or team ABC. Then let us try and practicalize what you've taught us this night before we meet again for the next class. So, because I think, like you taught us merging, which have to do with, working with different files and merging and all that. So, also working as a team in a company.
Yeah, right.
So let's work as if we're working in a company. So let's start from now, understanding those concepts and all those things we need to. I think because since the class is very, very practical, what you taught us, understanding this, the adding file, the staging and the commits, those things. I don't know
So,
if that's okay for every other person.
This is what we are going to do now. This is what we are going to do. We actually have this repo, so I'll share it with everyone. So now, all of us now, let's say all of us, we are merging to main. So please just do try and error until you get it right. Okay, with that you can be able to really learn. Now, nobody will spot you because you know how to go and make those mistakes when you're working for a company, which is a very good one. I actually like that idea anyway. So now, let's assume our deployment branch is main. So now, let all of us try and work with this DevOps class. I'll share it in the group. So we can just use this for practice. Let's assume this is the company's Git repo. So let's work with this. Let's just make our changes and see what we can do. Let's just play around with Git and try as much as possible to match to this main. Because I know GitHub will not really allow you to match anyway. Once you match, just share a screenshot and let me know. I think that should be a good one. Once you match, just share the screenshots. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a very nice one. It's a very nice one. It's going to keep us going. Please let's do that. Yeah. Thank you for the suggestion. Okay. So let's just try as much as possible to just play around.
Okay, sorry, Schizo.
Okay.
So when we create, that means we have to create a repo ourselves. When we
you're not creating repo now. No, this is, when I started the class, I told you this is the idea. We are working on a company's repo. So now let's assume this is the company's repo now.
Okay.
Yes. So please create something and merge it to this company's repo. To the main branch on this company's repo, which is DevOps class.
Okay.
Yes. So now, before you do this, you can also create your own repo on your own, just to practice and learn things. You can destroy things, you can delete anything, nobody will scold you. But you know how to start practicing on companies' Git repository.
Okay.
So yeah, today again, another idea actually came to my mind anyway. Let me just share it with you guys. I actually wanted to type it, but I didn't type it. But I'm going to say it. Please and please, you guys are learning DevOps, and you are just learning DevOps. Let me tell you something. I just hope my company people will not see this anyway. Before me there, though I invited somebody from my company. I don't know if she's here tonight. Is she anyway? Okay, she's not here. Please and please, in this DevOps journey, confidence go a long way. Confidence. So confidence, to help your confidence, you must make sure you do things right. One, know what you are doing. That is, you have to practice. And at the same time, you have to be confident, especially when you are discussing with your team member. Because you don't want to be working in a team that they don't trust in you. That's one thing. In a team, you have to trust each other. But by the time you are not even sure of yourself, or you are saying what is not, you're like, what is this one saying? They will not trust you. In fact, they'll feel like one day you just delete their code. So confidence, you have to be confident, like establish your own authority. That's one thing I've just I actually realized. So as you are doing these things, you have to be confident. Don't say what you don't know, one. Don't say what you don't know, but try as much as possible to learn. And as you are speaking, speak with authority. Don't speak as if you are coming to the team to learn. Though you can ask questions, but confidence shall go a long way. That's just one thing I realized. You must be able to talk. I just wanted to share this anyway. All right.
All right.
All right. Bolu, sorry. Before we call it this session, I want to ask, there are some companies that actually like, I want a clarification on something. Is it that all companies usually demand for only a DevOps or team of DevOps,